everybody, and welcome to another episode of Inside Look, your video sneak peek into the newest issue of the world's favorite freshwater aquarium magazine. I'm your host, Alex Rose, communications and digital media editor over here at Amazonas Magazine. So when we first started putting this issue together, I was really happy because CORYS were one of my first introductions into the world of fish breeding. When I was probably 16, I set up my first serious planted tank, a nice, peaceful 40-gallon breeder with a couple species of tetras, some hatchet fish, some glass cats, and of course, panda CORYS. And these are just one of the cutest fish in the hobby. I think so anyway, and I just love them, everything about them. Their looks, their mannerisms, how they interacted with each other, and the way they always look as if they're just kind of cheerfully sweeping away at the substrate with their barbels. They're just a joy to keep. And I had this healthy pile of Java moss kind of growing in the corner. And one day, after a few months with my little troop of panda CORYS established, I noticed 3 absolutely miniature CORYS that were just carbon copies of the adults. Now, if you think panda CORYS are cute as adults, just imagine them shrunk down to 10% of their original size. They're just too cute for words. So I decided to try my hand at breeding them a bit more and turn this into a fun little exchange with my local fish store where I would breed panda CORYS, bring them over, and then they would give me supplies for my growing collection of tanks. And this story could keep going, but it's basically just to say that panda CORYS opened my eyes to the possibilities of fish breeding as a hobbyist, and were sort of a great enjoyment for me for many years. And I'm just talking about them kind of makes me want to set up a tank for them again. But no, bad meat, no more tanks. Anyway, this magazine issue is called Keen on CORYS, and I think you're going to love it. If you can even look at this cover without smiling, I'm not even sure if you're human. There's just nothing friendlier than the face of a CORY. So let's go inside the magazine. We open with our letter from the editor, where Courtney gives us a quick history of the origin of CORYS in the hobby, with an overview of all the great species we can look forward to learning about in this issue. We move on to a short and sweet piece about a beautiful new snakehead discovered at the end of 2020 from Northeast India, a region regarded as a biodiversity hotspot. It appears there's much left to explore about this genus. The next article addresses how CORYS that share habitats also have a tendency to share appearance. This initially seems like it would lead one species to outcompeting the rest, but it turns out this phenomenon can be explained by a combination of malaria and mimicry and the fact that even coexisting CORY species occupy slightly different ecological niches. Moving on, we get to learn about a new dwarf Corydoras species, code numbered CW133, that was discovered by accident as bycatch among a large shoal of C. armatus, or CW083, from Brazil. Next, we get a great overview of the various Corydoras species collectively referred to as Jabuti catfish that come from the Rio Tapajos region, a major tributary from the Amazon River. These species are often confused with one another, so I found this to be a particularly helpful article. The following feature is about an expedition team that ventured into Brazil's secluded Cachimbo Mountains and eventually brought several new, rare, and expensive Corydoras species to the aquarium trade. Next, we switch gears a bit to talk about the husbandry requirements of a rare Central American cichlid, Tomocichla tuba. This cichlid is found in the swift-moving rivers of the Atlantic slopes of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Panama, and while common in its native range, is still relatively rare in the hobby. Next, we get a close-up look at what it takes to breed the fascinating whiptail catfish, Lamontichthys llanero. They are apparently extremely picky about diet, water parameters, and mates, and getting them to spawn is a real test of patience. Our next article takes us to Sierra Leone, where we learn about darter characins of the genus Nanocarax. In this piece, we hear about collecting them, encountering unknown species, observing them in the aquarium, and discussing the fact that they have yet to be bred in captivity. Sounds like a good challenge to me. We then travel to the US to learn about the biodiversity of crayfishes in the southeastern United States. Some of these species are gorgeous and impressive and exhibit some really fascinating behaviors that made me want to explore the possibility of keeping some of these crustaceans myself. Perhaps a summer collecting trip to Georgia. Moving along for now. The next article is about nerite snails and their efficacy as grazers in home aquariums. It appears they are both attractive and efficient, but their price tag tends not to make them an ideal candidate for large-scale algae control. The following article takes us to the Republic of Benin on Africa's west coast to explore the diversity of freshwater and brackish fish species in the region. Jewelfish, tilapia, mud skippers, lampreys, tetras, and arowanas all make appearances in this article, and you won't want to miss this piece. Next, we get to read about the amazing rooftop rice fish oasis created by author Steve Waldron during the pandemic, and everything he went through to build a thriving colony of orange cap Medaka fish 7 stories high in the urban landscape of Seattle. Then we have an article about a new dwarf tetra species, Hyphesibrycon negadagua, that might be a great candidate for aquarium keeping due to its size, behavior, and unusual coloration. I knew nothing about this species, so all this information was new to me, and it's always nice to learn something new. We then have another installment of Keeping the Cast from the cartoon series Weird Waters, where we will get introduced to Ange, a character based on the freshwater angelfish, one of the most popular fishes in the aquarium industry. Then there's our calendar, a listing of upcoming aquarium events compiled for us by Janine Banks. A complete listing can be found on our website under the Events tab. Then we've got Sources, our listing of local aquarium stores in the US, Great Britain, and Sweden, where you can buy Amazonas right off the shelf. Then we get 2 species snapshots, one of a spiny eel and the other of a fairly uncommon pleco. I don't want to tell you too much, but these pages are definitely worth a read, and I'm now even more fascinated by Macrognathus than I was before. And to close off the issue, we have a quick feature of a lovely little bumblebee cory species from Brazil, Corydoras chicano, also known as CW111. Well, that does it for now, folks. I hope you enjoyed this exclusive inside look at the current issue of Amazonas, which should be showing up at your houses just about now. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and most importantly, subscribe to the magazine. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.